Have you guys ever been stuck on a trail with no way out? That was recently me. I was deep in the woods, my winch completely went out, and I had no way of self-recovery. But that is never going to happen again. Thank you to RealTruck.com for sending me their brand new 13,000-pound winch. Today's video, we're going to unbox this winch, we're going to install it on the Jeep, and we're going to talk about some of the features that are so unique to the RealTruck winch. Let's head back to the Road Rash office and get her done. So if you have followed the Road Rash channel for any amount of time, then you probably know my current winch setup is completely kaput. This old winch that I have failed me when I was on an off-road trip not too long ago. We were out in the woods, I needed self-recovery, and I went to hook up my winch, hit the button, and it just went nothing. Well, just after that video, my sponsor, RealTruck.com, called me and said, looks like you're in need of a new winch. Yes. They decided they were going to send me to test out their brand new RealTruck 13,000-pound winch to replace this old thing that's on the front of the Jeep. So I'm super excited to open up this box, see what's inside, and really see what RealTruck is doing with this brand new winch product. Let's jump inside this box. This is the new 13,000-pound winch by RealTruck.com. We got a little bit of installation instructions, so we can actually just scan this QR code and it will probably give us install on how to install this. Put that to the side. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be the main motor for the top, along with the wiring harness that goes directly to the battery. Also in this box we have the remote. Looks like it's zip tied here. This is a hard wire that goes to the remote. So the remote is actually wireless, but this looks like we could plug it into the side in case we need it directly attached to our electrical box here. This is going to be our ground wire. One of the cool features that RealTruck has is this LED light that attaches to the winch, and it tells you whenever max load is starting to be achieved. So it is starting green, 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 and then it'll go to red once we start getting under max load. So that's something cool and unique about RealTruck's winch. In this box here, we have our Fairlead. Actually, this is going to be a cover. So on the winch, they have a cover that covers up the front of the Fairlead so it's not exposed to the elements. This is going to be our Fairlead right here. Some installation pieces here. And then here we have our winch line hook. And then in this box here is going to be our actual winch itself. And that is beautiful. And this is what comes in the package for the 13,000-pound winch by RealTruck. And let me just tell you, the quality of this is amazing. I mean, that is some legit steel right there. And you can even look at the little weld pieces here. Nothing looks like it's been untouched. I'm so excited. This is going to be a massive upgrade to the rig's ability to be self-sufficient and self-recover, because right now, you know, the winch that I have is not doing that at all. So first things first, we're going to have to get this old thing off of the rig and get ready to install the new one. So my previous winch had a steel cable here. That's why we've got a Fairlead that looks like this. Our new winch has a beautiful synthetic rope here. So we're going to go ahead and change out this old Fairlead here for the new RealTruck synthetic rope Fairlead. It's going to look much cooler. Now that I got this off the old winch, I'm going to go ahead and just take some time and maybe clean up all of this, just because I always just like a new clean surface to work with. Even though this is all going to be covered up again, I just like a clean surface. So let's clean some of this up and then we'll get to installing our winch. Okay, so our Fairlead is actually going to take this hex nut right here. This is an 8mm that goes on the front. We're going to put a little lock washer on it, regular washer, and that's just going to go straight into here. Now the other side is going to be a 5/16 on the back side. I've learned from my last install of my winch, it was very difficult to actually install this Fairlead after the winch was on there, so you probably want to do that before. And so with our winch plate, we could just set it right here and kind of line up these holes right there. So with our winch plate in place, we can go ahead and set our RealTruck winch on top of this, kind of lining up the holes in a general area. That is going to look so good right there. Now, in order to screw this down, we have these square nuts right here. These square nuts, if I can move this thing, it's kind of heavy, are going to fit right there in this groove. So we're going to take the square nut and we're going to put it right in that little groove right there. And then we'll be able to kind of line these things up to the holes underneath and feed this screw up into that nut. Now underneath the Jeep, I can see my holes here, and right now I've got the winch pushed all the way to the back of the Jeep, and that's only so that I can get to these holes right here. Before I actually tighten them down, I'm just going to put them in place, then I'll shove the winch all the way to the front so that it's super tight against the front of the Jeep. All right, I believe we got the hardest part of this already done. That was just lining up the bolts and making sure that we could fit this. So now that we kind of have it in place, I'm going to pull this as far forward as I can. That way, whenever we tighten this thing down, this thing is going to be pushed as far to the front of the Jeep as possible, and then that's what's going to give it the grab whenever we need to pull 13,000 pounds out of this. So pull this thing all the way forward, and then we're going to tighten it down. So with regards to mounting the control box, you have several options. You can actually mount it right here on top of the unit, kind of like this, or you could reroute this and mount it inside of the engine bay, which I probably will end up relocating this to the engine bay just to kind of clean it up a little bit. Maybe it'll fit right here, something like that. But I'm going to have to build, I believe, a special bracket or something to hold it onto right here. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and mount it on the unit here on this crossbar. So mounted on the crossbar, we're going to have to first remove this one, this one, this one, and this one. These four we'll remove. Oh, that's on there pretty good. We'll remove this crossbar, and then we'll be able to access the screw holes on the back of this. And this is going to take, I believe, a T30. Let's remove these. We're going to save these little screws and pieces of hardware. We're going to need them to put them back together. Here we go. So just on the back of this, we're going to see our little screw holes here where we can actually mount our bracket for the control box. So we're just going to take this one little kind of L bracket looking thing here, and we're going to screw this onto the back of our control box using our same T30. Now that bracket, we're going to move it all the way over to the passenger side, and we're going to screw it in right there, just like that. We're going to do our best to kind of keep this as straight as possible so that when we remount this, it's actually still straight on the winch. There we go. Now we can take our screws, our control box, and remount this thing right back on the unit. Okay, after installing two screws here, I think I'm going to have to end up finding something else to do with this, because as you can see, it is sitting right on that rope, and it's going to end up just chewing right through that rope. So we're not going to be able to mount this right here just like this. If there's a way that we can lift it up, would be fantastic. But right now, it is sitting right on top of that rope, and I don't like that. Okay, I did a little temporary fix on it. It might not be the right fix, but like I said, I'm probably going to end up relocating it to the engine bay. But for right now, what I did was just add a few little washers here, and then one on this side, and then on the bottom of this, I added another washer on that little L bracket to raise it up. So it's not touching the rope right now, and it is clear to install. So let's finish up this wiring. Okay, so we're going to look at these wires here. Let's go ahead and just start by just getting these main wires to the battery. We'll get these out of the way and just pull these off to the side. That's our power wire. And so now we have a couple of wires here. Here we have a yellow wire, a red wire, and then a black wire, which are all going to kind of coordinate with our posts that are here on the back of the winch. You can see you've got a red, black, and yellow here, and then there's another, I think that might be a ground here. But let's go ahead and just start with the yellow, plug that in here, then we'll do our red, and then we'll do our black right here. So you can't really mess this part up. We're just going to pull back the black cover here, and then everything is just color coded after that. These are all relatively short wires, so we're going to put our yellow on down here, and then this gets screwed on with just a 13mm socket here. Okay, so the last wire that we are going to connect back here is going to be our main ground that goes to the battery terminals. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the main ground, and then we have this little bitty ground here that came off of the control box. So we're going to put the control box and then the main ground together. Control box ground and the main ground. And then we're going to screw that on with our 13mm right here. There. And now we are all connected here. So now what we're going to want to do is take our ground, our hard ground, our power, and then right here we have an auxiliary cable here, connect to the, it says an ignition wire. We're going to run all 3 of these wires up in through here. There's a little cavity right there around the steering fluid here, all the way over to the battery, and we can plug it up, and that'll be the last that we need to do to prep this thing to actually recover. So I've ran both the power and the negative through here into the body right here. It's come out this side, and then this just gets screwed onto my power terminal there, and then the negative gets screwed onto the negative terminal here. Then we'll have to find a constant power or an ignition power for our blue cable somewhere here in our fuse box. Now we will tuck these wires away, zip tie them out of the way, pull them all back in here, and let's find a ignition wire for this one. So this is going to be our winch load indicator light. It's an LED light that lights up green to red on how much load that we're actually pulling on this. So you kind of want to see this from the front of the Jeep wherever. You can put it anywhere you want, but if you're like me and you've got it loaded down with all kind of crap, you're just going to have to find a place. All right, so for me, with this Go Rhino bumper I have here from RealTruck, I have this cavity right here that's got a 24-inch light bar, but underneath there is the perfect amount of space to actually put the tension LED light for this. So now when I crank the tension, it will light up inside this cavity right here. That is going to be super cool, protected from the elements, and just a great space for that. We're going to put our little stopper on right there, and then now we are ready to go. All right, so we got it all installed. We got all the wires tucked away. The controller actually has this really cool little magnet thing that you can just kind of stick anywhere. And let's see if this thing works. Let's crank it up. You can see once I plug this in, I've got LED lights here. My out works, my in works. Awesome. Now we just need to go off-road and give it a test. So there are several unique features that I really like about this winch that is going to be so cool and so different than some of the other winches. So let's start off with the controller. One, you can see there is a Bluetooth button, but then there's also an in and an out button. That's it. The reason why we have those two buttons is because if you notice on the winch, there is no clutch on here. You don't have to switch anything to go in, out, free spool, or anything. You just hit the button as an automatic clutch with the winch. Additionally, it's got this little magnet on the back, so we can literally stick this anywhere and it doesn't fall off. So if we're working over here or we're working over here, we just stick that up there. It's not going to slide off. We're not going to lose it. We can work, grab this and go. Now on the front of the winch here, we've got this little cap that kind of just stays on here. It's got the RealTruck R. We just pull this off, and it's a mix between magnets and these little clips, so they're not going to come off. And then that will keep all of this protected from getting just crap and mud and dirt all sucked into there. Then when you're ready to use it, you can either use it Bluetooth or you can plug it directly into the box. And unfortunately, I haven't charged the batteries on it yet, so we're going to have to plug this thing directly in to the side of the box, no problem. and that will allow us to charge this as well. And the minute I plug it in, you can see it starts charging here, and we've got all of our load already ready to go. You guys, I want to thank you so much for coming along with me on the install of this brand new winch on the Road Rash Jeep. And I want to thank RealTruck.com for sending this to me. It's going to help me to be more self-sufficient and self-recover when I'm off-roading and overlanding by myself. You guys like and subscribe to Road Rash Off Road and ring that bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming content, including the next badge of honor trip that we're going after in about 3 weeks, just in time for this winch. See you guys on the next video. Peace!